Welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you've ever looked at the sticker price of a new electric vehicle and thought, why is going green so wildly expensive? Well, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're taking a fascinating deep dive into the hidden geopolitics and the really complex supply chains that are driving up the cost of EVs. If you want to know who exactly controls the technology making the electric transition possible, you are in the perfect place. Let's get started.
Okay, let's dive right into our roadmap for today. We're gonna systematically investigate how China achieved its immense EV dominance. We'll hit the EV price problem, look at decades of government support, check out controlling the supply chain, explore leading battery innovation, and finally, weigh the ultimate climate dilemma.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the EV price problem, or the high cost of going green. To really wrap our heads around the scale of this global issue, it helps to start with a very localized, distinctly American story. Think about this. In 2024, Ford Motors actually had to slash production on their F-150 Lightning. That's the electric version of their insanely popular pickup truck. Why? Because sales on the Lightning were practically tanking. Consumers were walking onto dealership lots, looking at the massive price tag of the EV, and they just couldn't justify it compared to the much cheaper traditional gas-powered model.
And here's the crucial point, $55,000. That is the average price of a brand new EV in the United States right now. 55 grand. It makes electric cars a really tough sell for most folks, which is wild because this is happening at the exact moment when we desperately need widespread EV adoption to hit our climate goals.
Now you might be wondering, where is all that cost actually coming from? Well, roughly 40% of the total cost to build an electric vehicle is locked right there inside the battery. Almost half of the entire expense of manufacturing the car is literally sitting right under your feet in the floorboard. Automakers know this, right? So to bring those massive costs down, Ford tried to build a new battery plant in the US using tech licensed from CATL. They're a company based in Fujian Province, China, and they happen to be the biggest battery maker on the planet. But the plan got completely caught up in the broader US-China trade war. Virginia's governor actually blocked the plant in his state over concerns regarding the company's links to the Chinese Communist Party. This political friction forced Ford's CEO into a defensive position and pushed their whole search for a factory site over to Michigan.
Which brings us to a huge question. While American companies are struggling to cut costs, Chinese automakers are making up over half of all EV sales globally, delivering these slick, really affordable cars. So how exactly did Chinese companies create the world's leading EV battery? And honestly, can US automakers even build an affordable EV without them?
That brings us to Section 2, decades of government support. A 20-year strategy. To understand where the market is today, we've got to rewind a bit.
Let's look at how this played out over the last 2 decades. Back in the early 2000s, China had a massive air pollution problem, and they were on track to become the world's biggest oil importer. So the head of their Ministry of Science and Technology pushed hard for new energy vehicles. They knew Chinese companies couldn't beat the West on traditional gas engines, but they could totally leapfrog the competition with electric power. Fast forward to 2009, and local governments were creating instant markets, like the city of Shenzhen contracting BYD to electrify its entire fleet of 16,000 buses. Boom, just like that. Even though central subsidies eventually phased out in 2022, the momentum was unstoppable. By 2024, EVs made up a staggering 50% of all new car sales in China.
Now, to fuel that kind of explosive growth, you need some serious capital. Between 2009 and 2022, the Chinese government poured an estimated $29 billion into the EV industry. That is a massive investment. And it wasn't just cash handouts. It was a comprehensive package of research funding, tax breaks, dirt-cheap land leases from the government, and super favorable loans from state-owned banks.
But they didn't stop at the manufacturers. They actively worked to shift consumer behavior too. The government threw generous cash subsidies at buyers and offered everyday perks that were hard to ignore. EVs in China got these distinct colored license plates, making them super visible, plus access to the best parking spots and exemptions from strict traffic congestion rules. And here's the brilliant part. They also set strict battery density standards. They basically told companies, you only qualify for these credits if your battery tech keeps getting better.
Then, as consumer sales exploded, the Chinese government implemented a genius protectionist rule. When foreign automakers like GM or Tesla wanted to sell cars in this booming Chinese market, the government required them to use Chinese-made batteries if their buyers wanted to qualify for those generous consumer subsidies. This basically cemented a massive, guaranteed domestic market for China's own battery industry. Moving right along to Section 3, controlling the supply chain. from mines to manufacturing. Let's pivot from government policy to the actual physical stuff inside these batteries. Okay, let's break down the anatomy of a lithium-ion battery. There are 4 main components inside a cell. You've got the cathode, which is usually packed with expensive minerals like nickel, cobalt, and manganese. Then you have the anode, which uses graphite. There's the electrolyte, made mostly of lithium salts. And finally, the separator. To dominate the battery market, you absolutely have to have unfettered access to all of these materials.
And China secured that access in 3 crucial steps. Step 1, mining. Over the years, Chinese companies strategically bought up ownership stakes in mines all over the globe. Step 2, refining. Taking raw dirt and making it usable is a highly pollutant process, which is why a lot of developed nations avoid it. But China, they handle the vast majority of global mineral refining. And finally, step 3, manufacturing. Using manufacturing expertise they built up in the 90s making basic electronics batteries, which, fun fact, is exactly how BYD got its start, Chinese plants today pump out the vast majority of those 4 key EV battery components.
To really grasp how tight their grip is on this supply chain, consider this stark reality. The Biden administration passed a rule saying that for a car to get US tax credits, no more than 50% of its battery components or minerals could come from China. The result? Only an estimated 20% of EV models on the US market actually qualified. China has completely outmaneuvered former battery heavyweights like Japan and Korea. Let's jump to Section 4, Leading Battery Innovation, moving beyond nickel and cobalt. Because here's the thing, China's dominance isn't merely about cheap labor or buying up mines. It is heavily rooted in cutting-edge scientific innovation. A perfect example of this is LFP, or lithium iron phosphate. This is a highly advanced battery technology that completely ditches the need for nickel and cobalt. Remember, those are the super expensive minerals we talked about earlier. By cutting those out, manufacturers can drastically slash production costs, which means a way more affordable car for the end consumer. And the technological leaps coming out of China regarding LFP are just staggering. I mean, CATL recently announced an LFP battery that can power a car for 370 miles on just a 10-minute charge. That's absolutely wild. Meanwhile, BYD came up with their famous Blade battery. They basically designed a long, thin battery shape that lets them cram way more cells into the exact same physical space inside the car, massively extending its range. Today, LFP batteries represent a rapidly growing share of all EV batteries globally, and nearly every single one of them is made in China. Which brings us to our 5th and final section, the ultimate climate dilemma, geopolitics versus going green. Let's zoom back out and look at the complex, messy reality facing automakers and consumers worldwide today. The truth is, Chinese batteries are virtually impossible to avoid in the global transition to EVs. CATL isn't just staying home in China. They've built plants in Germany, they have plans for Hungary, and as we discussed at the very start, Ford found a home for that proposed CATL-backed plant in Marshall, Michigan. Even though it's triggered a US House investigation, if that project survives the political friction, it would literally be the very first LFP battery plant in the United States. Trying to bypass China's massive head start? Yeah, it's going to be incredibly expensive. Bloomberg estimates that it will cost the United States an astounding $82 billion to build up a domestic battery industry capable of meeting demand by the year 2030. $82 billion. Now, that kind of investment might make independence possible down the road, but it sure doesn't solve the immediate problem automakers are facing today. And that leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative thought right from our source material. So for now, we'll have to decide whether a desire to keep our distance from China outweighs our goals of going electric. It's a really stark dilemma, isn't it? We have the urgent, immediate need to wean ourselves off fossil fuels to protect our climate, stacked right up against the incredibly complex geopolitical realities of who controls the green supply chain. It is a massive puzzle for the future of transportation, and definitely one we will all have to watch very closely. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep asking the big questions.